speaking of rebuilding mode, there is someone that's going to join us, and I believe we're going to have him for the remainder of not only this segment, but the remainder of the show. Let's go to Carolina. We have a Spivey Notes takeover as Jay Spivey joins us from North Carolina. Jay, how are you, man?
Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Doing good. We're
Yeah.
just going over
I
the.
wish I were doing better, but I'll just have to deal with what I'm dealing with.
Understood. We're going over the WNBA draft. We're going to put a pause on that with drafts all over the place this month. And let's hop over to the NFL draft. And we're going to start with you. Besides a new owner that ain't David Tepper.
And Jesus,
of course. What do the Carolina Panthers need to at least compete?
They need an offensive line, just about any position. They need some receivers, definitely a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely a tight end. And with any rebuilding team, you're always going to need some backs, linebackers, and defensive backs.
Yep.
So obviously a lot. They need a lot.
They need a lot. Where do they start? Do they start with the offensive line?
I think you have to deal with offense if you're going to perform well in the NFL. You got to start with offense, whether it be the line or again they need a tight end. I don't know if that's the route they go. They definitely need a tight end.
They haven't had a tight end since Greg Olsen.
Absolutely.
They have not had a tight end since Greg Olsen.
Yep.
And they are never going to compete with the complete offense unless they have a tight end.
Look at the dynamic teams in the NFL and the better teams. Most of them have at least a very good tight end.
Mm-hmm.
It starts there with the NFL offenses these days.
Yep.
Because NFL offenses don't go 30, 35 yards deep anymore. They go 10, 15 yards max most of the time.
Right. Yeah. They
most of them only going like maybe 5 or 6.
They chuck and dunk.
Pretty much.
They chuck and dunk. And now we're looking at a Carolina team.
And you got to give your quarterback a chance to actually live and breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you sold on Bryce Young?
Not really, but I mean, I loved him at Alabama, but he's just, and I have nothing against him personally. He's a good guy, but he's just so small.
Yeah, he is.
He's small. He doesn't have a line in front of him. There were some points they're very few and far between, but there were some points last year in the Dallas game where you could tell Bryce was kind of feeling himself a little bit. He was starting to throw some better passes, but then like his line failed him. So he was starting to make bad decisions with the ball.
Their offensive line stinks.
By the way, speaking of somebody small that doesn't have a line in front of him. Hi, Droid.
Ooh.
Brother.
What?
Bringing me in like that? I get on 5'7", I'm short, but dang.
Right.
And you'll forever be short. We're talking NFL draft right now. Jay Spivey is with us as we're just hopping all over the place.
Morning, Spivey.
Yo.
You were talking NFL draft, and I can't help but talk about the draft projections of Ashton Genty. They have them going to the Raiders. May the NFL gods do this for me. No.
Where do you think Jay Genty should go?
The Saints.
He should go high.
Let's make this
go with what NFL teams should do. He should go very high, like old school NFL, and go very high, like running backs used to be treasured.
Uh-huh.
But
I think
they'll probably go to the middle of the end of the draft.
Best situation for Genty would to be sitting behind Alvin Kamara for a couple of years, learning the game, because you want to sit behind a veteran running back, especially one of the best running backs to ever touch that South division. or even the NFL in general. You want him standing behind a running back like that.
No offense, but that's not happening.
No,
NFL,
it's not
NFL
happening.
GMs are never going to allow
If
that
he
to
goes to the Raiders, I'm afraid that his career might have ended right then and there.
happen. Wherever he goes, he's going to start right away.
And you know something? You know what? I am going to put a frown on Droid's face. I'm going to put a laugh in Victor's heart, and I'm going to drag the father out of the closet.
Oh no!
Up in Maine, when I say the following sentence. Now, before I say it,
Preface.
I do not expect this to happen. Here's my preface. I do not expect this to happen because of who they drafted last year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
The
really
Bears.
hell no. Northern California.
Oh, you greedy little son of a bitch!
I played the card Pot of Greed.
Like I said, I don't expect that to happen because they're going to be concentrating on the offensive and the defensive on the defensive line. I do not expect that to happen. Look at the look on Droid's face when I said that. But going back to Carolina.
Well, it's time to start thinking about what's next for them because
yeah,
the running back is starting to get battered.
Yes, he is. And I don't expect him, and this is coming from someone who's covered the Niners, I don't expect him to last this year. This is why I'm putting the thought in my head.
When's the last time he was truly healthy for a full year?
23.
Well, he's been one healthy year in how many years now?
Actually, take that back. He has, until this past year, he was in every game since the Panthers traded him to San Francisco. It was just that this past year dealt him a blow, a bad one.
Very.
So that's why I'm thinking Genty to San Francisco could be good for them because you not only have Isaac Guerrero, not only do you have Isaac Guerrero, who they just recently drafted out of Louisville, but then you get another back since they traded Jordan Mason and Mason's injury prone. You get another back in Ashton Genty who could and should compete for a starting job immediately. And to highlight Jay's point once again, they got to start looking to the future because McCaffrey's not going to be long for San Francisco, even though he is coming back healthy this year.
When you get to his age, you're long in the tooth in NFL at that position.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
and as many carries as he has,
he's the bell cow of that offense. Go ahead.
He just gets murdered every game.
Yeah, I was going to say, dealing with McCaffrey, the last season he had healthy before 23, where he played all the games, was 2019.
2019.
Yeah, that's my point.
2020,
2021. If you remember correctly, I used to say that on the other show all the time.
Yes.
And I got chastised.
You got chastised so badly for that, and I don't understand why. Because
if I'm going to give you a realistic running back option, I think Skatibo is probably a little bit more realistic for the 49ers. I don't see Genty dropping all the way, and I don't see y'all getting a good enough trade with the Raiders.
I don't see Shanahan and Lynch drafting a back in the first round.
I can tell you right now what the projection is for them. I'm looking at it right now.
And that
Jahade Barron from Texas, their corner.
They need all the help they can get with all they lost in free agency.
They do.
They got destroyed in free agency.
Oh, dude, they got fire sailed.
They got pilfered.
A lot of the top teams this year got mollywopped, pillaged, and absolutely torn apart by free agency.
That's true.
Mainly the two giants in the AFC and the NFC.
To answer Jeffrey's question, who's New England looking like they're going to take? I can't believe I'm even saying this because I think it's going to be a mistake. Travis Hunter.
Nope. Not happening.
Jay, your thoughts on that?
Oh shit! I'd be happy to take him anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to go high.
They got him at 4 with New England. They got him at 4 with New England.
But would he fit New England?
Well, you got Vrabel, who's keen on defense, but Hunter knows exactly what he's doing on offense, and we do need another weapon for Drake May besides
I know he wants to play offense. He's going to play a little offense. I'm sure they got some plays for him, but he's not going to play full-time offense.
I don't think so either.
No, he'll probably be more of a WR3 or WR4.
If he
I don't
plays
even know if he's going to be
offense.
a 3 or 4. I think he's just got some packages available for me, maybe 5 or 10 times a game.
He's going to be kind of like a Deion Sanders hybrid.
Right.
That's how I see him,
Well,
because
let's face
he's
it,
on
this
his
generation doesn't know how good an athlete Deion Sanders was.
and they
You're not wrong.
They refuse to look up how good Deion Sanders
And
was.
not just one sport. Had Deion played just baseball, he would have been a really good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he'd have been dynamite had he just played.
Same with Bo Jackson.
Listen, I actually have a little quick question. Do you think Kyler Murray would have had a more successful career in baseball than in football?
Yes.
Probably so.
Yes.
And everybody knew that too. But he took the early money, and I don't blame him for doing that.
I don't blame him.
With the baseball contracts are set up, I don't blame him for doing that.
And I think one of the big things is
7 years to get his first real deal.
I have a lot of respect for Murray taking the football deal, mainly because a lot of people are looking at family first when it comes to when they get their first little bit of money. They're looking at retiring their family, their parents.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And then after that, it's being able to retire yourself in the future.
I mean, he signed he got a signing bonus for when he signed with the A's, but I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money for most people, but football money is a lot bigger than your first contract.
It is. It is. Jay Spivey joining us here on the program for an extended version of Spivey Notes. We got the droid here with us, all the fans in the Fanatic Feedback Zone. And again, we're doing this in the honor of Darian Hopkins. We're having a lot of fun because we lost, according to his fiance Nessie, and we all looked this up, we lost Darian this morning at 2 a.m. So, Darian, we're doing all this for you, man. And the softball game that I'm going to do tonight will also be in his honor. And of course, we're going to cover the WNBA draft. Let's go there. Is there any doubt, Jay, that Paige Beckers goes number 1 overall?
No, she's without a doubt number 1.
She is.
Not even close.
And something you and I talk about often off the air, something that's finally happening is they're moving a lot of games to bigger arenas. But a lot of people have come to me, even this morning while I was prepping, coming in the studio, and you're not going to believe what I'm going to say, gentlemen. And I want to start with Jay with this. They're saying it's because of Angel Reese and not know who.
If you
I wanted to finish my sentence before I gave Jay the floor. Go ahead, Jay. It's yours.
If you look, almost every single game that's been moved to a bigger arena involves one team.
And that's
they reside in the city of Indianapolis.
Yep. That's the Indiana Fever, baby.
Who in the blue hell? Who in the blue hell told that lie?
Who told this lie?
Exactly.
I don't see Angel Reese's games on national TV 41 out of 44 times.
Listen. If you want to put Angel Reese on national TV to watch bricks, be my guest. But you're going to put Caitlin Clark on there.
Absolutely.
If we wanted to watch Angel Reese toss up bricks, we would have watched her in the Undisputed League.
I mean,
we would have watched her when she was in. We would have watched her more when she was in the NCAA at LSU.
There were still a lot of idiots during the WNBA season last year who thought she was Rookie of the Year. Did they watch the games?
Listen, they did not watch a thing. Okay,
nope.
They didn't watch anything. And I'll tell you something else. They didn't see or bother not to see, and we've talked about this before, the impact that Caitlin Clark has had and will continue to have on the league. Can Paige Beckers equal that? I think she can.
Oh, easily.
I don't know that she's going to be the player that Caitlin is. That's the issue with that I have.
Right. How different?
And it's going to be harder for her with Dallas. I mean, they really have nobody other than her. I mean, and it's going to take. After this long season she just had, it's going to take her a year to get adjusted.
And we talked about that with Caitlin. with as deep in the run she made and going to the.
And the other thing is, I hate to say this, but Paige Beckers is pretty injury prone.
True.
I mean, she's had
Yeah,
a lot of knee injuries.
I was going to say, what she have? 2 major injuries?
Yeah.
2 major injuries. And she is very much injury prone, but she's going to be the top pick tonight.
And all the people whining that they're on national TV 41 times, they ought to be mad that they're not on 44 times, because they should be on 44 times on national TV.
46 if you count the preseason.
Well, yeah. Well, that game that's in Iowa City, whatever day that is, that game without a doubt should be on TV.
It should be. And if it is,
it's sold out in 5 minutes or whatever it was.
It is.
By the way, dealing with Paige Becker's injury, she's had 2 torn ACLs and a stress reaction in 2022.
There you go. There you go.
That's drastic.
And she's pretty long and lean, so there's not a lot of muscle there.
You know, whoever she goes through, their trainers are going to have her doing overtime.
Dallas. She's
going Dallas one seat at the one hole.
Going Dallas? Well, Dallas don't really have much facilities to work with, do they?
Well, I'll tell you this. Dallas has moved their game with the Fever up to American Airlines Arena.
What a shocker.
Not
American Airlines Center? Play all the games there. Screw it.
Yeah, why not? We've been screaming that for a long time.
I think the moment a Kansas City WNBA team comes into the league and they play at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, because they're not going to put them at Kemper Arena. Or they're not going to put them at Cable Dahmer over in Independence. No, they're going to put them in T-Mobile Center, because it's going to be the first professional basketball team we've had since the Kansas City Kings.
Since the Kansas City Kings. Who should get an expansion team next in the WNBA, Jay?
Well, they need to. I'm okay with expansion, but they need to tone this down a little bit, because women's basketball is not as deep as people think it is.
No, it's not.
The depth is not there yet. And there's going to be a point here where you're going to run out of players.
I thought they'd run out of players this past year.
I'm okay with it now, but they got. I mean, there's a certain amount. At some point, you're going to have to stop this. You can't overexpand.
I think like one more year of expansion, like with 2 teams, and that's it.
We need one up here in Boston.
We need one
up here. We need one here in Boston.
So there's 13 teams right now. One more expansion to 14, and that should kill it.
I would go as high as 16, because 14 is a little unwieldy. 14 is a little unwieldy.
Yeah, go 8 per division.
So this year we got what, the Golden State team coming in.
Yep.
Then Toronto is Toronto.
Toronto's next.
Yeah.
And so that leaves one more. I heard Philly's wanting one. Charlotte wants one. Houston, I think Houston maybe want to get back in.
Do you bring
Detroit?
Back no, you bring back Houston. Bring back the Houston Comets. You bring back the Houston Comets, because that's a legacy team.
We need some representation up here in the Northeast, though, to be honest.
You got one, the Connecticut Sun.
Maybe put Boston in there. Put Boston in there.
Boston should get a franchise. But I think if you're going to expand anywhere else, you got to bring back the team that won the city that won your first 4 championships. I'm inclined to think you bring back the Houston Comets.
Why not?
I could see that.
You bring back the Houston Comets.
You know what? I'll tell you why not. Money.
Yeah.
I know that WNBA is going to think Houston won't make them the money, but they will. Trust me. Houston's got some dedicated fans throughout the Texans, the Rockets, the Astros. They got dedicated fans.
And they'll bring in the money in a heartbeat.
You said Texas?
Yeah, Houston.
I mean, let's be honest, Moronic Republic still base themselves in Houston as well, too.
Go ahead.
But it's not the Moronic Republic of Texans Nation. It's still Cowboys Nation. But
exactly. But Cowboys fans.
Jay, go ahead.
Just like all the professional sports that Houston has, they act like they're a small market team. I mean, look at basically the fire sale that the Astros had during the offseason.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We let Bregman and Tucker go for some unknown reason.
That's confusing.
Yet they're the 4th largest city in the country.
Yeah, look what Bregman's done since he left.
Yeah, you don't let these.
Bregman's
you let
gone.
him walk.
Tucker's
You let him
gone.
walk and you trade Tucker for basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused with that.
I am
Still.
too. Those are two players they needed to keep. You keep Altuve has cemented himself in history, okay? But why didn't
Yes.
they keep Kyle Tucker as well as Alex Bregman? Those are two of your other cornerstones.
You have to sign at least one of them.
At
Mhm.
least.
I think the one they should have kept, honestly, should have been Tucker.
Tucker's tremendous, and you trade him. I know they got a decent player back in return. I understand that, but I don't understand why they act like they're a small market team, and they're not even close to a small market team.
You
They act
know
like they're broke when they're
why?
not.
You know why I would have kept Tucker? Protection for Yordan Alvarez.
That's what's going to happen when his contract's up. You gonna let him walk too?
They're going to let him walk, I believe.
Yeah.
Because now I do not believe in teams keeping their loyal players anymore. Because
Well,
if
I
that's
think
the case,
they're one of those organizations that is so analytically driven. They think at some point you're washed up, and
all
that's
right,
just not true.
Oh,
All
no,
right.
not the analytics again.
all right,
Oh my God.
we may as well just hit this in the nose right now. And I begin with 3 words. I hate analytics.
I do too.
Period.
Facts.
I got
I
another
hate-
word that I use for that as well.
So, sorry for this.
Load.
I hate analytics. I loathe analytics. I abhor analytics
There you
because
go.
it's ruined sports.
Yes, it
I'm
has.
sorry for bringing this up, Mr. McCarthy, but I also hate Madden.
Ooh.
Ooh. Hey, listen.
Ooh.
I have
Oh.
never in my
Ouch.
life, I never thought I would say this aloud, but I've been saying it aloud since my mom got me a Madden game for Sony PlayStation. I never played it.
Ooh.
Really?
I never played it.
I
I
played
can't.
Madden.
Look, John Madden, the analyst, love
Oh.
him to pieces.
Oh my goodness.
I
Okay,
played Madden 93, I think.
one of the very, very best. Madden, the video game, to me, blows. I can't do it.
And yet again, you'll find sitting on my Xbox both Madden 25 and NCAA 25.
I'm not surprised there.
The first Madden game I ever played, I think, was Madden 93. That was because my uncle had a Sega Genesis.
Yep.
And I would always play the 85 Bears because that was in there.
Refrigerator Perry, boys.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot.
Willie Gaulds.
With what I've seen on the Madden circuit, just in the videos I've watched alone,
Mm-hmm.
and the NBA 2K circuit, I can't do it. I can't do it.
And the thing is, these circuits get so competitive.
Oh my
Yes, they do.
goodness.
Oh Lord,
To say the very
competitive
least.
would be an understatement.
Right, to say the very
Well,
least.
again, look at the two people you got sitting next to you here, boss man. I think we know a little something about competitive
this will be arcade.
esports.
Yep.
I'm
Look.
not a
As he's
player,
rocking
man.
and rolling right now.
Mhm.
I'm
This
not
is
a
a
player.
custom controller with back pedals and everything. I think I know something a little bit about competitive.
It's a Elite controller.
Same here,
It's
brother.
not the Elite
Same
controller
here.
because you can see the D-pad's still the old one.
Go
Like I
ahead, Jack.
said,
I'm not a player, but I certainly respect what the game of Madden has done for not only culture but for football and NFL.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It has changed the culture of the whole sport.
Yeah.
it has.
It's not Madden's fault. It's not the Madden game's fault that an owner decided to use Madden to make personnel decisions.
It has absolutely exploded upon us.
It has, man.
Crazy.
It
Who
has.
could have ever imagined it would have become what it's become?
it's wild.
I didn't imagine it, but it is.
It's like throwing a grenade and having it bounce back to you.
Oh Lord, don't
Okay.
say that.
Quit playing
You-
Call
you-
of Duty, man. I've had that happen too many times.
You
Kyler
guys know
Murray.
better than I. I mean, I'm assuming it's by far the biggest sports game, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one of
Yes.
those,
I mean, yes. Well, no. Technically. In terms of player base, 2K is the biggest sports game.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
but
I can't
Madden
play-
sells a crap ton more copies.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can't play 2K for a simple reason. I love watching it more. I love watching basketball. Well, I did for the longest time.
But here's the thing: you can play as your favorite players. That was the whole selling point of Madden back in the day. Was you could play as Bo Jackson, you could play as Brett Favre, you could play as Joe Montana. Like,
why do you want to play as Brett? Why did you want to play as Brett Favre?
There's some loyal Packers fans out there that missed him.
Cheese heads out there, sir.
Brett
Favre.
I never,
or as Paul Allen would say in his 12 Days of Christmas, number 4 sitting on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
The Mississippi thief.
I can't do this.
But the thing is with 2K is like, you could play as Jordan, you could play as the other guy, but
I'd rather watch. Okay.
So I remember 2K.
Do you really want to watch the NBA right now?
No. No.
Okay, that's a lie. You do, because your Warriors are back in the race.
How about last week when the Warriors and Lakers played and they combined to shoot 77 3-point attempts?
That's crazy.
Let me answer.
That's a little.
Let me answer Jay's question.
Crazy.
Let me answer Jay's question. Do I really want to watch the NBA right now? It goes like this.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no.
I'm gonna complete
there.
But my question is, Snowman, what keeps bringing you back?
I'm not back.
I'm gonna be a complete and utter.
That's a lie. We've had multiple times.
Yes.
Comes back to the Bulls.
Let me speak.
When he's 30 years old.
There have been multiple times where we've had conversations on and off the air, and you said, I'm going to get back into calling the NBA. Close.
Yeah. I saw that.
I heard that. Well, I will say this.
So you can't deny it that you wanted to get back.
I'm gonna be.
It's only mainly because your Warriors are doing good.
Are they? They're in the playing game.
They're in the play. They're in the play.
They're at least in the playoffs. I mean, like weeks ago, they were not even in the conversation.
Well,
not really in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
After the highlights I saw yesterday, they deserve everything they get. I said it at the top of the show, and I'm keeping it that way.
You can't lose to the Clippers yesterday, but they did.
You couldn't. You should
have lost to the
Spurs.
No, that's a good point.
Yes, the Spurs game cost them the 6th seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
They win that game, they seal up the 6th seed, and they get a week off.
Yep.
But nope, they lost to the Spurs, and they were beating the hell out of the Clippers. Lost to them.
How does that happen?
Don't get me started.
Apparently, Draymond Green missed a layup at the buzzer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, there's your answer right there.
A layup. It comes back to Draymond.
A layup.
He missed the
Draymond Green is what we call
a
parasite.
He missed the layup in the final 5 seconds of the Spurs game. And it took Steph to rescue them for the moment to tie him at 111 until the former player, Harrison Barnes, beat him at the horn.
Right.
Again, Draymond is what we call a parasite.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I got no argument.
I can't even defend him anymore. It's gotten this bad.
Me neither.
Because I'm like, at least he was keeping his nose clean. But come on, man.
You can't.
Yeah, at least he's not choking out Rudy Gobert. Oops,
I'll ask this question. If the Warriors don't make it in, is this the last season for Draymond?
Yep.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think this is it. Unless they get
I think you have to make this the cutoff point, because you've had multiple seasons where you could have made the playoffs, but then one little Draymond suspension has gotten you killed and out of the playoffs.
Exactly. I went off on this last year.
You did.
And the owners are paying a fortune on it with this salary,
his fines and his therapy sessions and all this other stuff. It's like you shouldn't have to have this much help to just behave yourself and play the game correctly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, Draymond needs
it makes you
sessions and Steve Kerr's.
Right.
Not to, piss on the man's legacy. He was great back then, but he just seems childish now.
But that's what makes it so annoying because you know what he's capable of.
Right.
You
Draymond
know,
Green is starting to sound a lot like Dennis Rodman.
but not the same.
At least Dennis Rodman has multiple rebound titles, and the only one I think 4 times to win Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean, between the two of them, who has more rings between the two of them?
Rodman by
No.
It is
No. It is Dennis.
It is
5
Dennis.
to 4.
That's what I thought.
5 to 4.
Okay. I knew it was pretty close. I just didn't know
Yeah,
what the
5 to 4. Thank you for catching that, Victor. I think this is the last stand.
This is the last stand.
When Dennis was sane, people forget how much he provided for the Bulls and the Spurs.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I agree.
And then, of course, he ends up going to WCW for a night, and then
No,
look how
That was
that ended.
funny. That was funny.
He and Karl Malone.
Yep.
He and Karl Malone.
And they still didn't get it settled.
No.
In the Georgia Dome for a night, they did.
Yeah.
But I also want to bring a point to the ever dreaded team over there in Charlotte.
Oh,
Boy.
Do you think this is Ball's last straw with this team?
Yep. I think it is. Jay, what do you think?
Which team is this again?
your
The
Hornet.
Hornets.
My Hornets?
Not your Hornets, but the Hornets. I don't think Jay is
They're
playing
not-
with the Hornets.
The Hornets.
They're lucky this is not the Premier League in England where they could be relegated.
Relegated to G League.
I've
You know
said this
what?
over and over and over.
Let's
And
ask
I actually heard, I think it was Barkley say this a couple weeks ago. It's not a destination either for free agents.
It's not.
And I've been saying this over and over and over, and people around here just hate it when I say that, but it's true.
It is
There-
true.
Charlotte's
There's
the
nothing at all wrong with the city of Charlotte. It's a great city.
It
But
is.
it's not. It's like Oklahoma City. They're not going to go to free agents. Aren't going to Oklahoma City. They just happen to do really well in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte.
Right.
They've never, and
Hornets
they never
haven't-
will.
The Hornets never get a high pick in the draft ever.
And that
Charlotte.
was the point. That was the point I was going to make. They
Yeah.
never will get a high pick in the draft.
They have
Charlotte.
like third choice this time in the lottery. You know they're not going to win the lottery.
Nope.
They would love to build around Cooper Flag, but they're not going to get the number one pick. Everyone in the world knows it.
Ever.
Didn't Cooper Flag also say he was going to stay another year?
He's not staying.
He's not staying.
No way he's staying.
He's not staying.
He said he
not-
wanted to stay another year so he could
No.
win a championship.
Well, he's not going to
That
win it.
ain't
Duke.
gonna
Not going
happen.
to win it, Duke.
Nope.
Not with that. And that's another point I wanted to bring up. You wanted to talk about John Shire, will you please? Just go in. Please.
He's a recruiter. He's not a coach. You can't lose that game last week.
When you had him down with 8 minutes left, double digits.
You were up by 10 with 3 minutes to go or whatever it was. You
Mhm.
can't lose that game.
And they choked.
I'll tell you how much I thought that game was in the bag. And I generally stay with the game to the very end. But I left with however many minutes, I think it was 3 or 4 minutes to go. They're up 8 or 10. I thought it was in the bag. I turned to the beginning of Saturday Night Live. Came back after the cold open, which couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. And it was tied.
Yep.
You can't let that game go.
You're like,
What
how
has
did that
John
happen?
Shire done since he's been the head coach? Yes, he's got recruit after recruit after recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is how much they're paying these kids, which I don't mind. That's the rules. What
Answer.
has he won?
Nothing.
Thank
Meanwhile, Krzyzewski, who was sitting there at the game that night, I guarantee he would have won a couple of these games.
He'd have beaten Houston up easy.
Yeah.
That would have been a 30-point blowout at halftime.
I mean, they're not going to have – that team was loaded this year, and they're not going to win.
And they're not going to
get a
win
team
with
like
him.
that again.
Nope. They're not going to win with him at all.
And again, I'm going to say this league is absolutely horrible. I don't care what
ACC.
people say.
Yep.
Yeah, the ACC is terrible.
And it will continue to be such.
But until they start and realize how important other sport, especially football, is, and how the SEC has used that football money to improve their other sports, they're not going to do it.
No, they're not. They're not going to do that.
It's basically one team, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Carolina Carolina, I think, is going the right way about this, especially with football. Yeah, they're spending a lot of money on Belichick and some coaches and improvements to facilities and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to.
If you want to
I
really
hear a lot of
compete, you're
Carolina
gonna have
fans say
to.
it's stupid. They're so wrong. They're so wrong.
Mm-hmm. They are wrong. They are wrong.
And again, just like our friend,
Oh God,
focuses on Carolina. I mean, Duke 365 days a year. I even told him that a couple weeks ago. I told him that on Facebook a couple weeks ago.
and is
Quit worrying about what Duke's doing and worry about yourself.
Please.
He won't.
Man, Carolina fans amaze me. All they think about is Duke 365 days a year.
And that's what cost him a national championship 3 years ago.
Was.
Yes,
That's what cost him a national
Ohio
championship
State and
3 years
Michigan are
ago.
obsessed with each other in football. I understand that. But even though Ohio State lost to Michigan this past year, did it bother them that much to go to the national championship?
No, not at all. They went on and won the doggone thing.
I still say 3 years ago, whatever that was, when Carolina beat Duke in the Final Four.
3 years ago. Yep.
And then lost to Kansas, and all my Carolina people was like, we don't care. Oh, we beat Duke. We beat Krzyzewski in his last game. What?
Right. It's like, shouldn't you be worried about the titles?
3 years ago, that night, the night of the national championship, I was under the knife.
Mm-hmm.
Play the clips, though, man. Play Herman Edwards clip.
Do you have it?
I better have it because it's one I play often. If not, I will get it.
The answer is right there in what he says.
Oh,
you play to win the game.
There you go.
You play to win the game.
Thank you. You don't play to lose to Kansas in the national championship.
You don't play to be within 20 minutes of a
Look at Troy with a big grin on his face.
Listen,
Kansas.
You don't play to be within 20 minutes of a national championship with a 17-point lead, and then you choke.
And then you choke like a chicken bone.
Hubert Davis, again, who I called a JV coach when I was on that show,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't like that either. What has Hubert Davis done?
Listen, Jay said it on my show, and I thought it was correct.
Because he is a JV coach.
He is a JV coach. Hey, listen, and to that friend, you fool! That's all I got to say.
He did not like every time I said it. He couldn't stand it.
He couldn't stand it every time you came on my show and told the truth, and people gravitated toward it.
Well, I said it, and I believe it.
I believe it too.
And I got nothing against Hubert as a person. Everybody says he's a phenomenal person. I'm sure he is. That doesn't mean he can coach.
Just because you like someone personally doesn't mean that they're professionally good at what they do.
Thank you, Victor, for that statement, because there's quite a few on that list.
There are a lot of snakes who are coaches too. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they're not good coaches.
With the Carolina fans, all I can think of is Playmaker's statement.
You put me in a stupid realm.
Think. I told you, Victor, I kept that button. For them to think that beating Duke in the national semi-final is bigger than choking against Kansas in the national championship.
What kind of mentality is that you don't care about winning the national championship?
I don't get it.
We beat Duke. We beat Krzyzewski in this last game. Who cares?
It's kind of like how Bear fans were so jovial about them beating the Packers at the end of the season. Like, I get it. I understand
that they beat their biggest rival, but did it help you?
No, they were already eliminated.
They
were gone 3 games prior.
One of my dear friends is a Carolina grad, and he is a huge Carolina basketball supporter.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumped down my throat for saying that, and I still don't tell him that. He's like, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." No, I'm not wrong.
No, not wrong.
And as for the Bears,
no lies be detected.
I will say it until I go 6 feet under in about 55 years. Dear Chicago Bears, you have risked, mortgaged, doubled down, and now threw away your entire future for DJ More.
There you
But
go.
DJ Mo, we do not like.
What did I say about DJ Moore when he was with the Panthers?
He was a 2 at best.
And he didn't like that either when I said that.
I'm sure he did.
I love it.
But it wasn't untrue.
No.
You know what sports talk is missing, and I'm directing this
Honesty.
to every Victor. Dang it! Wait. But
Victor,
that-
you know what? Victor, you know what?
I just crawled into the head again.
You know what, Victor? That's for you. But you know what sports talk is missing nowadays? And Jay has said it on this show. Shane has said it. Droid has said it. Victor has said it. And y'all know I've said it for the 11 years I've been active doing this particular show.
Mm-hmm.
There is no straight up honest sports talk anymore until you come here.
How about the word sports that you just mentioned? I know that's a small word, but it's all encompassing.
You know what?
How about talk about all sports? Not
now
just
you're getting in my
basketball.
head. Now you all are getting in my head because
Look at everything we've covered here today already.
we started
That's my
with the
point.
Masters.
This show talks about everything. There are a lot of shows that don't. I mean, a lot of shows that don't.
Listen, every show on the 4-letter network
is political.
So I need.
Why do you think Rob Manfred came out a couple weeks ago and said that ESPN never talked about baseball?
Because they
never.
don't.
Even on opening day a couple weeks ago, they never mentioned the opening day.
Jay, since you and I have been together on the air, which has now covered 4 years, how often do we talk about baseball?
Quite often. Quite often.
When we first got together on the air, what were we told?
Not to talk about baseball because
not talk about
our
baseball.
listeners don't like baseball.
And yet, in the time that Jay and I have been together, we always slip in some baseball talk.
It's
always.
Because it's
It is a
sports.
sport.
It's a sport.
Even though my wife teases me that it's not a sport, but let me brag on Jody for a moment. And I've told this story before. I don't think Jay knows it, but Jody does not like baseball, but she is very supportive of the sport I grew up watching, of the first sport I ever loved. So much so that she gave me a White Sox birthday a few years ago.
There you go.
She gave me a White Sox birthday. Now, how supportive is your better half when a sport that they cannot stand, and she's told me as such, she will walk behind me and kid with me, hey, baseball's not a sport, but she's that supportive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's been supportive since Jay and I got together on the air. And she teased me then.
Yeah,
Jay heard her say baseball's not a sport, and Jay cracked up laughing. Really?
There's stuff to talk about all the time. There's just that the 4-letter network refuses to talk about it.
Which is why they lost Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Which is why they lost Major League Baseball.
They're going to regret that decision.
They are.
Easily.
Yes, they are.
Which is why tonight, after Allie wraps up the draft, I got Monday Night Baseball.
Because it's obvious that MLB wanted to stay with ESPN. It's just they came to a point where they just couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious that Rob Manfred wanted to stay with ESPN.
And I'll say again, what led to the demise of Monday Night Baseball, in my opinion, was them cutting two talents, John Miller and Joe Morgan.
Sunday night
Baseball. Thank you.
They were terrific.
Yeah, they were.
When they cut John Miller and Joe Morgan, the downhill slide began.
I'll be honest, guys, with the guys they have on there with Ravitch and Perez and Cohen,
they're not
all they talk about is analytics. They don't talk about the game at all.
No. Absolutely.
I mute the game. Every time they're on, I mute it.
Because at some point it's got to be more than just analytics. Like there's no purity in talking about the sport at all.
And they want to talk to players on the field for 3 innings at a time. I don't care.
Right.
I don't
find out anything relevant from a guy playing first base.
When I cover baseball, Screw analytics.
Exactly.
I look at the game. I look at the game itself as to what is happening in front of me.
Right.
That's why you're so good for Columbia East.
I look
There
at
you go.
what's happening. I look at the game that's happening in front of me and pay attention to those details.
Thank you.
Not who does what against right-handers or against
It
left-handers.
doesn't matter because in the end, it's going to be any given pitch can be different.
I watch my team and I watch how much they suck right now. I don't care what their analytics says.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves absolutely suck right now. I don't care about analytics.
And you said that at the top of the season.
Yeah.
You said
told
that.
you it was gonna
He said
happen.
that before the. He said that before the season started.
Oh,
Phil.
wait. Everybody talking about the Braves going to win the World Series. What?
What? Where? How?
They're going to be lucky to finish third in their own division. Lucky.
And
they're in last place right now.
They're not going to get to third because
They're in last place
right now there's a team in the National League East that I think is going to run away with it, and it
Mets.
ain't Philadelphia.
It's New York.
It's
I
the
hope it ain't
Mets.
the Mets. God, I hope it's not the Mets.
Well, I
Look,
mean, the
they're
biggest
playing-
thing for the
it's the way
Mets
they're
did
playing
was sign Soto.
It's the way they're playing right now. It's the way they're playing right now. Can that change over the course of the summer? Absolutely. It's 162 games. And I know JJ is going to reach through this computer and choke me for what I said
you.
about Philadelphia. But he will tell you himself where Philadelphia struggles.
Pitching.
He will tell you
I
himself
actually-
where the Phillies struggle.
Right now, I actually think the Phillies are better than the Mets. That doesn't say the Mets aren't going to be better by the end of the season, but right now, I think the Phillies are better.
Exactly. And I agree 100% with that. I agree 100% with that. I agree 100% with that. Jeez, what we're doing.
And the Phillies own the Braves now. They just own the Braves.
Mm-hmm. Since last year. Since the tail end of last year.
Well, no, it's just the playoffs a couple of years ago. This has been going on for more than a year.
Right. Because right now
they own the Braves.
Because right now the Atlanta Braves in all their glory have got to be looking at the Philadelphia Phillies and to a point this year the New York Mets and wonder,
who in the blue hell are you?
Well,
you
I'm
can't
going to
make
say
it up.
this. I said this last night on Facebook. I'm on a Braves fan page on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it last night. And I'm finally starting to hear some people come around to what I've been saying for the last 4 years. The Braves have not been the same since they let Freddie Freeman walk.
Facts.
Victor, your cap machine, please.
Cap detection tool. Nope, the board is clean. No lies there.
I'm looking at my cap detection tool, and it's clean as a whistle. There is no lie with those statements, man.
None.
Matt Olson is not anywhere close. Not only just the player, he's not the person. He's not the leader that Freddie Freeman is. And they they completely capitulated to what Ronald Acuna wanted because he didn't like Freddie Freeman because he actually told him what to do. So they capitulated and let Freddie walk for some unknown reason. They traded for Matt Olson and traded 1 million picks for him.
And the bad part is Freeman wanted to stay in Atlanta.
He desperately wanted to stay in Atlanta.
He wanted to stay in Atlanta.
He started crying and crying and crying, and I don't blame him.
No do I.
And so what have they done since he left? Absolutely nothing.
Let me answer this the way my wife would. Nothing.
Yeah, they had the best record in baseball a couple years ago. So what? They got trounced in the playoffs.
They got smashed. They got absolutely smashed.
The Phillies smashed them. Smashed them.
Come here. Give me this. There's a sound that I need to play, and Victor's going to love it. And I know Ryan McCoffey's tuning in, and all my other friends are tuning in. What? There are actually black men on this show that talk baseball?
How about that?
How about that?
It's great. And what did we talk about last year?
Listen,
last week.
Same. Hockey.
No, we talked about baseball.
And we talked hockey and we talked baseball.
What did we talk about last week? Where I said that it is absolutely maddening that with all of the work, the blood, sweat, and tears that the Negro League put into just
the first conversation Jay and I had when we were on the air together was about Hank Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only time that he ever had that conversation up was when Hank Aaron died.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I feel like it's necessary we talk about Hank Aaron. What do you guys want to say about his death?
Well, he gave me a list of points to hit You know what I did? I tore it
Put 'em
up.
out.
I tore him up. I tore him up. And Jay and I had a natural conversation about Hank Aaron and what he did for baseball. Period.
Just look at those guys. I mean, look at the game they had last year in Alabama, and it's a shame that Willie Mays died right before the game.
Right.
So just look at the impact of all those guys that are in the Negro League.
Yep.
Yeah, the game they had in Rockford.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what? You know what? We're the most honest sports talk show on air. Period. Television and radio.
I mean, I'm listening. I mean, I'm not the biggest soccer fan in the world, but if you got something relevant to talk about in the MLS, I'll talk about it.
Same.
If you want to talk about how sorry the men's national team is, I'll talk about that.
And have done so.
I'll be happy to talk about how sorry that men's national team is with all the money we throw into it.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. And the kind of soccer I talked about has not been MLS per se, but it's been what I grew up on, which is indoor soccer.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on the Chicago Sting. I grew up on the San Diego Sockers, the Tacoma Wings, Dallas Sidekicks, all those guys.
We're going to get embarrassed next year when the World Cup's here.
Oh, dude, we're gonna
get
smacked.
embarrassed.
We're gonna get smacked.
We're gonna get embarrassed.
Listen,
With a capital E.
I'm not going to watch the USA play a lot, but I will be in Kansas City for those World Cup games.
Well, that's great. I mean, I got nothing against the World Cup, but we stink.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest player that we have right now is Christian Pulisic. And does he play in the MLS? No. He plays in Serie A with Milan.
Yeah.
Because nobody, and I mean it, nobody wants to play in the MLS.
No. They don't pay
MLS,
enough, and plus it's barely. I don't even know if you can call it AAA soccer.
Mm-hmm.
The MLS
It's more like double.
And another thing is, the one thing that I think is killing the MLS is their Apple TV partnership.
Oh, that's stupid. That was stupid.
That's ruining it. That's flat.
It's not ruining it. It's killing the MLS because you're making it exclusive to Apple users.
Listen,
Yeah.
Apple TV needs to go.
How many
Apple
people are going
monopoly.
to flock to
Period.
Apple TV just to get MLS?
Let me try.
Nobody.
Let me say this again. Apple TV and Apple TV Plus, as far as Major League Baseball goes, and a great shout out to my great friend Andre Morgan from who's in Arizona now, but lived in Chicago for a long time. Apple TV needs
It's
to
trash.
go.
Because
And I'm going to make this very clear. I'm going to make this very clear. Why is the NWSL more successful? Why is the Bundesliga more successful in America than its own major league?
It's more available.
Because they're on ESPN. They're on the 4-letter network's subscription service. You can watch NWSL games on ESPN. You can watch Bundesliga games on ESPN. You can watch La Liga games on ESPN. You can even watch Premier League games on ESPN.
The only league in North America, well, especially America, United States of America, that's going to do well by streaming is NFL.
Yeah, it is.
We saw that this past year when they put Christmas games on Netflix. It's going to happen again this year when they put Christmas games on Netflix.
Well, I thought, never mind.
Yeah, the only league that can get away with that is the NFL.
That's it.
NASCAR's going to get hurt when they go to prime for their 5 races. I mean, as it is, they have practice and qualifying, and no one's watching.
Well, actually, I'm going to disagree with that one, Shaner. I get Fox has been the dominant network, but Prime is cheaper than any Fox subscription.
Dude, the thing is, Fox is on regular TV outside of FS1.
But how many NASCAR friends are going to get Prime to watch the Charlotte race?
Actually, a lot of people already have Prime just because they have wives that love to watch their little shows.
That's true about that, yes. But how many people are going to get it just to watch that race?
Just to watch NASCAR? Nobody. But more people are going to get it to watch movies. And then they're going to be like, oh, wait, NASCAR's on here? Let me tune this on.
You know what's helped me since Jody and I cut the cord? Prime has helped me. Oh, Amazon has helped us because of one little station, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, when you can couple Paramount Plus with Amazon, because y'all know Jody, she jokes around with me every Sunday about finding the Colts game, whether if it's a 1 o'clock or a 4 o'clock game, and I usually find it, and I usually find it. She'll be a play ahead of me watching the game on Paramount Plus before I can call it.
So what is the
I
best
think the
ability?
only problem I have with Paramount Plus is their streaming quality.
Oh, it's perfect here.
So, no matter what's the best ability? We talk about all the time.
Availability.
Availability.
That's the thing.
Best ability is availability. That applies not only to players and coaches, it also applies to networks. It also applies to broadcasters and
But I will make this
Look
clear. MLS's contract with Apple TV is up after this upcoming season.
They need to push the plunger now.
Yeah.
After their partnership with Apple TV is over, they need to switch. They need to get a deal with ESPN. They have to say this is to save the tour, because even their minor leagues, the USL, is on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
MLS is trying to be all so unique, but you're basically limiting your audience to Apple users.
They're trying to be elite. Because
how many young people do you know in America who follow? How many that follow the MLS religiously? Not
religiously. I know one person. His name is Kevin Show, but that's it.
Now, they follow them. They follow the Euro. They follow the Euros and the Serie A and the Premier League. They follow that, and the Bundesliga. They follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I follow the EPL more than I have the MLS in the past few years. The only reason I started paying attention to sporting this year is because I found ways around the Apple TV system.
I mean, the Charlotte team is 75 miles from where I live. I'm not going to drive down there to see them play.
Exactly.
Listen, I will go to see Sporting play just because it's only an hour away. It's only an hour away, and it's in KCK, so I don't have to worry about KC Mo traffic.
Right, absolutely.
That is perfection for somebody like me who lives in Kansas, and the fact that we even have a professional team in Kansas. The fact that we even have a professional speedway in Kansas is shocking to me.
I followed MLS for a while, but that's only because of the Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
And me.
And after they won the cup, I stopped. I told you I grew up on indoor soccer, which is time like football, 4 quarters, 15 minutes apiece.
Right.
That's what I grew up with.
But MLS is trying to follow the traditional 2 halves, 45 minutes each plus injury time.
That's what I hate more than anything with soccer. Have the time done on the stadium, not by the referees.
Right.
And if you got an injury, stop the clock.
Which they don't, and I find that.
But that's just the way it's tradition. It's just tradition. That's how all the rules are made up across Bundesliga. You're going to see the same thing in Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A. You're going to see the same thing in Eurodivision. You're going to see the same thing in the EPL. It's all the same. And there's a reason for that. It's because if you're all playing different games, then how are the Americans going to be able to compete in, the nationals? How is Mexico going to be able to compete in the nationals? How is Canada, especially with Canada's teams in the MLS? How are they going to compete when our format is different than theirs?
Is we don't use our best athletes to play soccer, and never will, and never have done it.
I beg to differ, because Tyler Adams, one of our center midfielders, is one of our best midfielders right now. And guess where he plays? He plays in the Premier League.
Okay. He might be an exception then.
Yeah.
And I do not appreciate Bournemouth players' disrespect. I'm sorry.
You pointed out one player. Name me some more. One.
I wish I could, but here's the thing: we have so many great prospects here, not just in the MLS, but also throughout the Premier League, throughout La Liga, throughout all these other leagues in Europe and in the Americas. You can even go down to the Brazilian leagues.
Soccer is primarily a rich person sport in America, and it's not that way every other country in the world.
When you look at Brazil, like even in the slums, they're playing soccer.
That's my point.
Yep.
It's their way of getting out.
You got to give people a reason to grow up on the sport.
Look at Venezuela and Dominican baseball. What other way is there for them to get out other than baseball?
True.
Cuba, that was the only way that players could even escape their country at some point.
Same. Yeah. And seen it happen. And we got to wrap this up. Jay Spivey joining us for an extended version of Spivey Notes. Man, I'm glad you're back, and we touched every sport possible because we're a sports show. We
didn't talk about badminton or ping pong or anything.
Not yet.
Do we really want to go down those rabbit holes?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind.
Let's go.
I wouldn't mind.
Save it for next time, Jay.
We'll see you next week, Jay. Thank you. Darian, all that was for you, brother. We miss you and we love you. Have a great day. God bless. And remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they're simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. And remember Darian Hopkins, folks. Show his family some love. We're out of here. See you tomorrow. Darren, we love you, buddy, and we will miss you terribly. So long, folks.